Hey, Riley Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Annie podcast, where we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I am so excited to have Puppy here. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. This is Lady, my little puppy. If you guys don't know, I have a puppy. I mean, she's my mom's, but she's our family puppy, and I named her Lady, so I'm very good at naming names. Anyways, in today's episode, I'm so excited that this is the 100th episode on my podcast. If you guys don't know me, my name's Anna New, and I've had this podcast for like a couple years, I think. I launched it back 2 years ago, and I've had just like so much fun chatting to you guys, rambling to you for like over 20 minutes every episode, I swear, and giving you guys advice, experiences, and everything like that. So thank you just as a preface, as like a, I don't know, big thank you for, helping me continue my podcast. I think we hit 10,000 followers on Spotify, and I'm in like the top percent of like content creators, which is so cool, especially in the writing category. So thank you so much for your support. I'm not sure when I'm going to make a second installment to my season. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to be making a second season to this installment. Puppy doesn't like this. I really don't know if I'm even going to make one. So that's why I wanted to just kind of do a huge episode thanking you guys and also doing a sort of authortube newbie tag. Again, if you guys don't know my channel. And basically answering a lot of different questions that you guys had for me in my particular projects. Some of them are quite niche, some of them are unrelated to writing. They're just a whole bunch of other things. So I'm very excited to be getting into a bunch of questions I asked you guys on my Instagram. It's _Anna New if you guys want to follow me there, because I ask questions and like interact with you guys for these videos and stuff like that over there. But yeah, again, thank you so much for your support on this podcast. Let's go ahead and get into the questions of like just general questions as well. I think I do want to do like an official authortube newbie tag on my channel. But since this is the podcast, I just wanted to do a more talkative yeah, because you guys somehow like me talking for like a long time. And I've actually liked a lot of my recent videos of being just so long. Like literally, if you look back, all my videos are basically like upwards like 30 minutes. And I love it. I think it's so cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the lengthy questions. They're kind of like broad questions if you're also new to my channel, and also more deeper questions if you've been around for a while. So let's go ahead and get on to the episode. Let's go. Okay, so as I said, I've asked you all on my Instagram just random questions, and I'm just going to start off with just random ones, and I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited to just see my responses. They're very off the top of my head, so like, I don't know, I hope I don't say anything too abrasive, but let's go ahead and get into it. So the first question is a big one. It says, have you ever written about someone you were in love with? And I like read this. I'm like, oh, have I? I had to like think of it. Definitely not a book, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's maybe some, like maybe one or two characters that are kind of loosely based of people I know in real life. I don't have any romantic affiliation with them. But when it comes to poetry, for sure, I definitely write a lot of poems about people, guys, men who don't even know I exist. Recently, I've been writing a lot of poetry about this random cafe boy that I think is really cute. And I've had like a mini crush on him for like months, and it has not gone anywhere, but I love writing love poetry. And of course, I've written about my breakups. I've written about people I don't like anymore. I've written about my boyfriends and everything like that. So definitely people I've been in love with. Like some of them are really good, some of them are really bad, but I definitely like strongly know that poetry is so important to me because it's a huge compass actually, especially like specifically for relationships actually. Like they are like, oh man, I can look back on my poetry and see like, okay, I know he did this. Oh my gosh, like yeah, that's why I was angry. I could feel it coming and all that stuff. It's just like so interesting, and just like realizing my feelings about someone is so uh you know, it's so explicit in my poetry, even if I don't feel it and I'm not intentionally writing it. The subconscious power of poetry is crazy. So only poetry have I ever written about, people I'm in love with, which I've only been, I don't know if I've really been in love, maybe a couple times, but yeah, we'll see. The next question is what inspires me? So what inspires me to write, I guess? Just generally, Oh, I don't know. I love getting inspired by lots of things like music. I think I get lots of inspiration from art and from artists, lots of authors, Franz Kafka. I've rambled about him so much on this podcast, it's not funny. I get inspired by myself and my own experiences, to be honest. I get inspired by the Bible, my Christianity, my God, those sorts of things. And I think it's really, really cool. I think I have a couple podcast episodes about like how I gain inspiration, like subjectively to me, in my experience and like how I get triggered. But at least recently, for sure, songs have been such a huge inspiration for me, for sure. Like it's crazy. Like especially Ciro's songs. I actually definitely got inspired by one of the songs writing a short story in one of my recent vlogs. So that's really cool how I got like the lyrics and stuff like that. But I also love to write music as well myself. So that's why I get inspired also by my own writing, which I think is really important. Next question, can I speak? How do you decide how much of your project you're okay with sharing? That's really interesting. I talked about this in my recent podcast episode, one about like my authortube hot takes and about how I feel like people should share their poetry, share their story ideas, share their characters, whatever they're writing. They should share it with people. But I totally understand that it's their work. They don't have to even share a cent, a word, let's say a word of it. But I love sharing my stuff. So in terms with me, how I just decide what I'm comfortable with. There's been a couple of times where I've shared mostly poetry or even like a video where I'm kind of like, oh, I don't think I should have said that. Most of the time I just roll with it and upload it because I love being real with you guys and just I think that's what connects me a lot with you. But sometimes I like share a poem and I'm like, yeah, that's way too sensitive. That's way too hit to the core, especially if it's sharing poetry that I'm like the feelings at least that I'm writing about are very very much like what I'm going through. That makes sense. Even writing Ghost Side, I didn't want to share it when I'm sorry if you hear my puppy going crazy on the floor. She found a yarn, one of my yarns, and she's ripping it all over my room. I'm just letting her do that because I don't want her to that's just her. Don't mind my oh my gosh, no, she's going for my jeans. No. Let's just let her do what she wants. But yeah, that's kind of how I decided whether or not I feel comfortable with it. I really don't think people will steal my ideas. I understand that's a real thing, but it's not like I'm saying the whole plot and its whole context. You know what I mean? So I don't mind sharing ideas if it just gets people inspired or excited about my own books, if that makes sense. So you got to really feel your comfortability, and sometimes you don't feel it when you're in the passion of the moment or creating the content or saying it in a video, but once you upload it and read it and like watch it through, you'll definitely be able to tell. At least that's how I do. Okay, next up is how do I balance law and writing? I literally have a law no, I had a law exam yesterday and this morning, and I had it at 8 a.m. Do you know how sorry, I'm getting a bit angry, but that's inconceivable. I barely sleep at all. So waking up at that time was just not fun. Anyways, how do I balance it? The truth is I do not. Law school, and I'm also doing a double degree, by the way. I'm doing law school and a politics degree, and it is just crazy, and I don't know how I actually balance. Usually I have prioritization where I prioritize YouTube and my work, my uni work, and then my other work I'm starting to work at. Whoa. My brain's going a bit crazy. But usually I try to write on weekends or on holidays. Like that's literally all I write. And sometimes I literally just don't have time to write, so I just write poetry or I write short stories, which I think is really, really great. I think there's always a good time. Like in one of my recent videos, again, that short story, video, like I was so stressed with all my exams and stuff, but I still just wanted a day just to dedicate to writing. And I was too stressed, like mentally, to go into like deep work of Ghost Side or my other projects. I just wanted something that just made me write, and that's all I wanted, and that's what I did. And I think, yeah, I'm viewing writing more as a lifestyle, not just, limited to projects and books I want to publish. So, especially when it gets busy, I hope when I like graduate and I get a job that I can carve out time more easily. When studying, it's really difficult, and Sometimes, especially if you're mentally exhausted or going through a tough time, like I have been, like it's okay not to write. And I think that helps me get through it and also loosens the pressure so that I'm more inspired to write. But yeah, it's definitely a big struggle. I'm learning and I'm like literally in fourth year law school and I still don't know how to balance, but I'm trying my best to try to write in the mornings, to try to get motivated and to actually get some word count in. I think that's literally all it is to like, I need to like jump my, what's the word? Like beat myself to the gun, jump the gun. Is that what it's called? Yeah. I need to jump the gun of my exhaustion for the day by means of like, before I even get up to like go to school, I need to be writing. So I'm trying that. As soon as like finals is over, I'm going to embark on a big journey to like try to actually write, because the last year I've not written a lot and it's really embarrassing, but I still want to write more. And it's all depends. People have different, what does it mean to write a lot? But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty embarrassing how little I've written, but I've made some progress and I've developed a lot of ideas and made lots of decisions. So I think that is why I've also kind of not been able to put words down on the page, because like with Go Side, figuring out plot ideas, making big decisions, stuff like that. So it's difficult. So, and also I've been writing a lot more poetry. So you give and you take. Next question is, do you ever consider branching out into new content, like a niche alongside writing? For sure. I would love to just talk more about poetry, a lot more about like writing in general, and like what it means to be a writer and a creative. I would love to, oh, dude, I want to travel so bad. And when I think about my future, I think about cute vlogs of me just chatting to the camera. So like vlog style is like what I want to do. But if I live in an aesthetic, cute city, I'll have my camera out 24/7 filming vlogs for you guys, because I think it's just so fun. I love like watching vlogs myself, just lifestyle vlogs, and I just want to really branch into that sort of content, if that makes sense. But Australia, where I live, is not very aesthetic. I could, yeah, branch into like more uni work stuff, maybe in the next coming weeks, next coming years, but I like to keep them a bit separate, you know what I mean? Just because I'm always so stressed with uni that it's not fun to film about it if I'm stressed about it, you know what I mean? So I'll definitely see, but very cool question. I'd love to. Yeah, I have a few like things on my bucket list though, but they mostly have to do with writing content and like creative stuff. So I'm very excited for that. What is your favorite kind of writing? I guess like what's my favorite style of writing, whether that be like poetry, short stories, blah blah. I think definitely there's something about writing a book that is really cool. Just like the fact that we're all writing books. I joined a live recently with Brielle and like two other writers, and it was just so cool that we were all like working on a book. Like, is that not the coolest thing that we all have our own projects and like working towards it? Like, that's so epic. So I think definitely like my favorite medium of writing, I think, is what this lovely person's trying to ask. That's kind of my vibe. But I definitely love poetry and I want to publish poetry collection sometime. It's one of my goals. So next question is, what inspired you to write Ghost Side? Yeah, I talk about it. I've talked about it in a couple of my episodes, like specifically about Ghost Side. But for sure, what inspired me to write this book is very specific. At least like the initial concept, very, very specific. So basically, it started where I was just like short story. Long story short, I was coming home. It was like during high school. I think it was in my senior year. And I was coming home. I was walking home really late at night because I had training. I used to be a sprinter and I would train on the track. And I would walk home. And I was walking home this one time at night, and I was a little bit tired from my session and just like exhausted from school. So I always like think about the stuff. And I was walking down the road, and my roads are really wide and there's always cars parked on either side. And I just remember just walking down. It looked very gloomy. There's like lampshades, very dark. It's very quiet. And I remember just like looking, like lugging my body and just like looking into one of the car seats and just pretending like I saw a ghost boy or something. And that's what like inspired Ned, who's like the main character who I love so much. I just imagine like a ghost boy grinning at me, and that's literally the idea what sparked everything. And I remember specifically like during my like running sessions, I would literally like run a lap or like do something, and then I would come back like thinking on the way like back before I had to run again, like thinking about the book, and I would come back to my bag and like write down. And my coach was always so, I'm like, no phone policy while training. She's like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget this idea if I don't put it down. So I still have the notes app actually that I worked on with the book, so it's really really cool just learning about it. But that's like literally what inspired me to write Ghost Side. The next question is what made you do poems? I guess like write poems and poetry. I used to write poetry when I was little. I'd write poetries about my cat and about flowers, and they were really cute little poems, even about my brother, my brothers, I don't know. And I just continue to write poetry. I mean, I didn't really when I was in middle school or anything, because that's kind of like, why are you writing poetry? That's so weird. When now I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I started seriously writing poetry and getting into the habit like during my high school years, actually, where I just started to write in a poetry journal. Like, because I keep my own journal, and it'll get to a point where I'll try to make my journal sound very poetical and very narrative like, if that makes sense. So then I was just like, why would I have to write like lines and lines if I can just write about my day or about my feelings? Because literally my books, my journals are literally just about how stressed I am or sad I am or frustrated. So I'm just like, why not just make a new journal book? So I literally have so many journal books. I have this one over here. I'm just grabbing it. This one is actually halfway done, and I started it only at the start of this year. Whoa, that's crazy. I think so. Yeah. But I just like keep my journal and I just write in it randomly, and I've gotten to a habit of actually writing like around every couple days basically, and I go into my balcony and sit down at my what's it called? Rocking chair. I literally have a rocking chair, guys. I sit there and I basically just write a poem or two about my feelings, and I just trigger a word. And I just love poetry because it's just an easy way to express your emotions. And as I said at the start of the video about like romance and stuff, like it's a great way to learn about what your feelings are and how you should move forward. Even if that's a bit delayed and it's just merely a reflection thing. But I also love sharing poetry. It's also good because it's so little, like a poem is so small. It's not like a book where you have to edit it and like use so much brain power. I love how poetry is a lot more, you have a lot more creative freedom because there's a lot less more rules. There's not a plot you should follow. It's literally just line after line. So I love poetry so much. And I think I love it just as much as writing, to be honest. So yeah. Next question. What is your ultimate goal with writing books? Definitely just become some sort of writer, just to have my work out there sometime, somewhere. Though sometimes I just want to be a writer. You know what I mean? Like there's something so cool to just say like, oh yeah, I write books in my spare time. But then it always gets followed up with the question like, oh, but have you published anything? And a lot of people still like comment on my videos like, where do I find your work? Where is your book? Where's Ghostside? Can I buy it? Which is so lovely. It's like, no, I don't have the book yet. So I don't know if I'm ever going to be there. I think it's really important to get a lot of experience first, which I definitely still have a while to go, but I love Ghostside and I definitely think I do want to publish it. So literally that's like my end goal. I guess my end goal would be to have a couple books out and to retire like somewhere in Europe in like a mountain in a beautiful cabin and like have all my books and cats around me. That's the end goal. But I would love to just, I don't know, I still want a professional career in law. I think I literally used to be so against it. If you guys would watch a couple of my videos where I'd be just so frustrated why I chose law and like parental, like, you know, wanting to please my parents and please everyone and be professional and like have a good job. And like if writing could make me money, I would totally go for it. Or even YouTube. But I don't see that as a feasible option. I don't know. It's definitely just like a side hustle, it's just a side goal. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely would love to have dual what's the word? Dual careers, if that makes sense. One in writing and one in like international law. If it allows me, if I'm smart enough, if I graduate, I will, don't worry. But that would be great. I don't really know yet. I just want to be a writer. And that's what I am right now. So that's all that matters. Next question. What emotions are you normally feeling when writing your poems? I kind of alluded to this a little bit about love. I also write a lot about sadness and loneliness and stuff that has happened to me. Though this is all, can I speak? This is also just a side note. How are people not embarrassed by their exes? This is just like, maybe I should not share this, but I'm just saying, like, how are you not, like, I get embarrassed writing about stuff or like people who've wronged me. Like, I've had friends, like, oh my gosh, this last few months, this last month, February, literally, like, oh, they say like January, February, like, sucks. Yeah, it did, because I just realized how terrible people are. I don't know how to explain it, but I've been writing a lot about these things, but I get so embarrassed that I let that happen to me. You know what I mean? So my poetry and the sort of context matter is so broad. It depends on what I'm feeling. It could be jealousy, it could be just hopelessness, it could be frustration, it could be embarrassment. Like, it's all mixed in even the one poem. So it's honestly endless what I write about. So a lot of feelings, which I love, but are very, very raw. So if you ever also want to check out my poetry, it's on my Instagram _@new. Check me out there. Thank you. Some of my poems are interesting, so just trigger warning. Trigger warning, like, trigger warning, it's bad. What is my favorite short story I've ever written? Ooh, I don't know. I don't really think She, that's the title. It's a poem, like, it's a poem that's inspired by, it's a short story, sorry, inspired by a poem. And I actually have it published on Sad Girl Diaries. I maybe will link it in the description if you guys want to check that out. But She is inspired by a poem called A Big Word for a Woman. And those two pieces I'm very, very proud of. And they're available for you to read. That's probably, yeah, my favorite. I love it because the amount of comments and like DMs I got after sharing that was so rewarding, and just hearing that people related to the story. I think that's honestly the best way to describe like my writing journey. If you guys want to like just like skip this whole video, just read that little short story and you will understand what is wrong with me and like what's my dilemma. What's my writing dilemma? So I think that's my favorite short story. What's my favorite project apart from Go Side? That's the next question. Favorite project. Oh, I've been working on Project Orchestra a little bit just for funsies, and I love it so freaking much. Apart from that, what would I say? Oh, my current fantasy project. My secret fantasy project. Definitely. I can't talk too much about it because it's secret, but I've been thinking about it so much during exam block, which I'm in now, like, all the time. So I'm very excited to work on that today, hopefully. How's the editing process going? Go watch my recent vlogs. I hate editing so much. I've had a huge dilemma with Ghostside if you've been kept in my vlogs, where I wasn't sure whether or not to completely change the book or not. I've decided now, I'm pretty sure, don't hold me to it, but I've decided to stick with the original idea and not to derail it into like creating a new fantasy element of the story. I like it how it is. So I'm going to continue editing, but there's a couple plot problems I need to figure out as well. And all I want to say in that matter is that drafting is my favorite. I hate editing. Editing sucks. Everyone wake up. Drafting, keep oh, I'm gonna like spend, that's why I love actually, I don't know, dragging out the time of writing my new fantasy book, because I love it. I don't want to edit it. I just want to write it. So yeah, that's how my editing is going. What are some icks about writing? Ooh, icks apart from like my own writing. I don't know what my icks are about writing. That's a very interesting question. I should have thought about this before I said it. My icks, probably, I don't know. I mean, there's icks about like the writing community maybe I have, or the writing like publishing industry. Icks about writing. Sometimes I don't like, having to read the work that you've written, not because it's like bad, but because it brings you back to previous times in your life that you don't really want to go back to. I find that a lot with Ghost Side. I find that a lot with my poetry. And it's hard to detach, I think, That's not really an ick. An ick's supposed to be more fun, but I'll have to think about that and maybe share it on my story. Um, Next question. Would you ever think of incorporating your lyrics into your books? Very interesting question. Thank you so much. You must have watched my recent vlog where I uh, create a little ballad. I write a little song. I love writing songs. I'm just really bad about it. I literally wrote a song last night called Cafe Boy. Oh my gosh, someone said date me. I also have tea here. It looks a bit like pea. Do not think it's pea. It's just jasmine tea. I love jasmine tea. It reminds me of going to Yumcha with my grandma so much because I'm like a quarter Chinese. I don't know, I don't look it, but jasmine tea, oolong tea, so good. So for sure, I think I'd definitely love to incorporate my lyrics into my book. Maybe I should write a story about like a lyricist or like a musician. That could be cool. But I have actually incorporated some of my journal entries and like own personal notes into Ghost Side. So that sort of thing for sure. I definitely see myself vibing with different mediums of my own art. What was the first book you wrote and when did you start it? I think I wrote my first book, my first project in grade 8, I think. I don't know. I think I have a video where I literally read a little bit of it. I should do that again. But it was a project that was like a sci-fi project. And I just literally came home one day and I was just like so bored of life that I opened up my laptop and started writing this like out of world. Like it was literally out of this world story about this girl who like the world's basic, like the earth's dying and she gets shipped off in like a spaceship that has the job of finding a habitable planet and she lands on it and meets like the prince, but she doesn't know it's the prince of the planet, and it's kind of like aliens vibes from Avatar, the blue people Avatar, and I loved it so much. It was so cool. I literally still think about it, and it was kind of a bit of not a Wattpad moment, but I definitely injected myself a little bit because I wanted to escape and fall in love with this random prince who's like an alien. Why wouldn't I? So the main character's name was Anne. And at the time, I think I had a little crush on Tom Holland. So the other human that was sent, because like a boy and a girl needs to be sent, and these two were also like, they were at NASA. So like Anne is really smart. Anyways, Tom was the other guy, was the other human. Anyways, that was really funny. I should make a video on this. I am very inspired. Please. Okay, there's the next question. I love this. It says, please tell us more about Ned. He's literally my crush. Thank you. I love Ned too, but I hate him. He is one of those characters who like you can see the two-face, you know what I mean? But they're so like irresistible that it bleh. He's not like terrible bad, but he's just like infuriating but charming and it frustrates you. Like that's the sort of vibe I'm getting at with Ned. If you guys don't know, a little fun fact. Ned calls Red Little Hood after like Little Red Riding Hood. So I think that's really cute. And I love it so much. And he always grins. He has this really cute grin, which I really love writing about. And I think I was editing a scene the other day and yeah, I described it as like a grin spidered up. What was that? A grin spread across his face like spider's web or something. That sort of, I love like that sort of imagery that's so like, what? But yeah, let that man grin. Okay, next question. Do you have a hard time writing slow burns or romance? Not really, I think. Ooh. Go watch my last vlog where I like write at night. But like I was editing a couple of like, I was a romance scene between Ned and Red. I like pretended to try to whisper, but I just like said it out so proudly. But that was really cool. And I don't think I have a problem with it. It's really fun to just see. I think it definitely requires a lot of work of going back and foreshadowing. But knowing the characters and how well they fit together is really important. So I think if you just incorporate cute scenes and spread them out well, it's a really great time and you will love it. Just find different ways to like get, it depends on also what trope you're going for. With Ned and Red, it's like my favorite trope, which is basically hesitant allies to lovers, if that makes sense, where they like work together or they kind of like picked and like grouped together, but they don't really like each other, but they do because they eventually start flirting and like daring each other to do stuff when it's actually so clear and they're in love. Blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the vibe. What's my favorite genre to write? Honestly, I do think reflecting on this, my favorite genre to write is like Coraline vibes. It's definitely like spooky, weird books, which is interesting because I don't really like to read those books, but I like to write about them, which is a whole like other thing that I've still come to grasp at. But I definitely love it. So watch I'm gonna plug that video, my short story video. I still need to do a part 2 to it where I write the second half and read it to you guys, but I love that so much. It's very spooky. The short story I'm writing in that video is basically about a collector who collects all these shiny things, and he basically like, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but like he collects them to basically tether ghost children to the earth still, if that makes sense. He's really cool. He's like the Mad Hatter vibes. Okay, next question. What would be Red's favorite song? I love this question. It's so cute and specific and just like, thank you. Red's favorite song would definitely be a Phoebe Bridgers song. Probably be, or a Queen song maybe. Dude, I've been listening to Bohemian Rhapsody so much. It's a big hack actually. Life hack. Can I speak? Give me a second. Yep. Listen to that song and you'll feel immediately better. But probably Scott Street, I'd say. It's definitely a staple in the book. Scott Street or Funeral, I would say. By Phoebe Bridgers. Go listen to her music. Oh, Waiting Room. No, that's just my favorite. I get to keep that. Favorite tropes to read or write? As I said, hesitant allies to lovers, one of my favorites. I also love found family. I also love... Ooh, what other things? I love heists and stuff like that. I love ball tropes, like where they have to go to a ball and stuff. I love having like the girl having to like dress up when she doesn't really want to. That vibe. So good. What are some other hobbies that you have that are non-writing related? Very good. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a quick call. Hello? Awesome. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye. She was Irish. Let's leave that there. What was the other question? What was I talking about? Oh, other hobbies. I love reading. I love sleeping. So ironically, maybe. I love playing the guitar. I love writing poetry. I love shopping. I love posting on Instagram. What's some like other niche stuff? I love playing Baldur's Gate and like, Street Fighter 5 too. I love a bit of, I'm not like a gamer girl, but I love like those, I love very specific games, if that makes sense. I also love doing a bit of yoga if I can, because my back's always sore. I love going on Pinterest, if you guys can see behind me. What else? I just like to explore and go to the library a lot. And that's kind of basically it. I love going to coffee shops as well. That's like my hobbies, my vibes. And I love movies and I love songs. I say they're hobbies because like I'm obsessed like with songs and movies. Oh, you hear me ranting in my room just how much I love those things. Anyways, the last question I will answer is describe your writing journey in 3 words. And this is a really good question and a good way to round out my 100th episode on my authortube type podcast. Ooh, I haven't actually thought about it, but definitely 3. I would say unexpected, lonely, and just really cool. I don't know how else to describe it, but those things definitely are something. Yeah. Lonely, it's lonely, of course, but it's also really cool the way I've got to just like get inspired by you guys and how you guys are literally, I think another question was like, who are your, where is it? Who are your biggest supporters of writing? And I literally thought about it for like 2 seconds for a long while as I was getting ready for this video. I'm like, who are my biggest who are my biggest supporters? And I literally just thought you guys. So thank you. A lot of people don't really know that I write in my real life, or nor do they really care, which of course I don't expect you to, because my book is very niche. Although it's like a big part of my personality, I don't expect people to really know about my book or want to know about my book. So the fact that you guys want to, like, it definitely takes a writer to understand a writer. And you guys, the reason why I continue making videos and writing, to be honest, and the reason why I want to publish Ghost Side is to share it with you guys. So thank you for giving me a platform to just share my love for writing, and for just helping me through this process and just being so nice on authortube. Thank you so much. So I'll end it. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Sorry. Can I speak? I don't want to cut this because I'm just so like, I just want to keep this really real this episode. So sorry if I keep blabbering and being like very weird with my tongue because I cannot speak sometimes. But I love you all so much. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I love you all. Thank you for your support on my podcast, and stay tuned for when I'm going to launch season 2. I love you all, and I hope to see you in the next writing episode.